Hey, what's going on, crypto people? It is your boy, the Crypto Siege, with another day in the life and the crazy life that is cryptocurrency. What's good, guys? Happy Thursday. I just wanted to hop on here real quick, do a really quick video on the whole thing that is Steve Mnuchin. I hope I say his name right. I think I've heard like 5 different interpretations of that name. But guys, what do you think about this dude on television again? On television again, talking about the digital asset space. I find that to be very interesting. Very interesting. I've always said that this thing has really been a rollout more so than anything else. They got a playbook and they're just following the playbook. You know, it's very similar. What Steve Mnuchin is doing is very similar to what Madame Lagarde was doing while she was at the IMF. I'm going to put my headphones on here so you guys can hear me good. Right, very similar, similar, guys, to what Madame Lagarde was doing at the IMF. I think very similar, because the idea is to get him out in front, to get that word or narrative out in front of the masses. So that they can, they just kind of let you know little bits and pieces, letting you know what the end game plan is, right? What the ultimate goal is. And I just find it very, don't you find it interesting that he mentioned, we're interested in payment systems that reduce costs, right? That is very telling. And it's just, for me, they're just letting everyone know what is going on. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Western Union has been mentioned. That MoneyGram has been mentioned twice in his talks about how they, quote unquote, are, kind of doing it and following regulations. That they are, in fact, compliant in all things regulation. I don't think it's a mistake that he's mentioned MoneyGram twice now. I don't think, quite honestly, I don't think it's a mistake that he mentioned Western Union. Perhaps there will be digital assets in some way, shape, form, or fashion attached to Western Union as well. And the whole Bitcoin thing and, this whole kind of regulation thing, obviously, that's a bigger picture to it as well. When all cryptocurrencies and the G7 and how all these nations are in agreement about regulation is just letting people from Facebook and other big companies say, hey, you can do what you're going to do, but you're going to have to pass through a lot of hoops, right? You're going to have to jump a lot of hoops. You're going to have to cross over lots of major obstacles, right? You're going to have to play our game to make that happen, right? Because in the end, it's always about control, or at least giving the impression that they're not losing control, right? So in the end, that is probably the deal when they talk about regulations. But if you listen subtly to the message, the subtle message is that though they're going to start rolling out, look, those digital assets that are regulatory compliant, for example, like Ripple, the financial tech company Ripple, right? Just think about this. Steve Mnuchin is the same guy that's out there today talking about digital asset space. It's the same guy who wrote the executive order 13772, what it talked about, is essentially a new financial system and financial innovation, for a new financial system that President Trump signed. Right? This is the same guy, in which Ripple is mentioned in that executive order. So when you hear him today, now the executive order was written, I'm not sure the date, but it wasn't written, a couple of weeks ago, right? So the same guy who wrote that executive order, who mentioned Ripple, today in 2019 is talking about, we like payment systems that reduce costs. Like, he didn't have to say that. He didn't have to bring that up. You're talking about regulating cryptocurrency. Why did you bring up, we like payment systems that reduce costs? Why? And again, this is the same guy talking about digital asset space, right? We're not talking about. He wasn't talking about some other vertical in the financial world. He's talking about digital assets and how we like digital assets. The conversation was about digital assets. So it wasn't about some other vertical in the financial system world. And he says we like payment systems that reduce costs. Right? Think about it. And this is the same guy, again, guys, who wrote Executive Order 13772, in which he named Ripple. Named Ripple in there. So you gotta, right? So at the least, at the worst, they know of the company. And so, yeah, so you probably, some people say, well, that doesn't mean anything, right? Right. So he probably doesn't know about Brad Garlinghouse walking around hanging out with Madame Lagarde when she was at the IMF. Probably don't know anything about that. Right? You know, that big meeting that they had in, I believe it was Switzerland, but all the central bankers were there. Steve Mnuchin probably didn't know about that. Probably didn't listen. He probably didn't say, who's this regular guy up there on the front panel talking? I get all these other people. Yeah, who is that guy all the way down at the end there on the right? Who is this? Why is he doing a presentation? He probably missed that one. But, the rest of us got it. He probably missed it. Like, come on. And there's a reason why, Ripple is going the regulatory compliant route. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for it. And you got to get it. A lot of people don't know that there's another digital asset doing it as well, taking that regulatory compliant route. But it's not working with the banks. It's really trying to deal with the unbanked and that type of deal, and bringing the unbanked into in financial inclusion, right, instead of exclusion, inclusion. It's another company doing that as well. But you got to think about why he's out there now. And here's the thing that I would say: pay attention for what's going to be happening in the future, because the word Ripple is going to come out of the mouth, and I'm going to say the mouths of some people from the White House. That's going to happen. It's not if, it's just when. That is going to happen. I don't know who's going to be the first one to say it. I already told you guys I listened to an interview from Wall Street. I think it was called Modern Wall Street. Listen to that interview. Who's that? My dude who turned me on to that interview. XRP veteran. Posted it in the Telegram group. Listen to that video. Again, 4 people, gold guys, hedge fund owner, manager, big time professional trader, Jim Rickards on there as well. 4 people and the lady kind of doing the moderating. They brought up Ripple, the digital asset. They called it Ripple, right? It wasn't Ripple the company. I just want to make you understand it, right? They didn't say, first of all, he said Ripple the company is working with regulators. He said, so that was Ripple the company. And then he said working with regulators. And then they talked about how it works in saving money in the interview, I believe is what he said. So he should have said XRP when he talked about utility. I mean, he was correct in calling it Ripple when he talked about working with regulators. But when he talked about the utility or the use case for XRP, he called it Ripple again, right? So, but in any case, it was brought up. It was mentioned. And the big gold guy who was all to the right would say, yep, they are working with regulators. And yep, it does do this particular thing. The utility that they're trying to prove into the market does work. I thought it was interesting that Jim Rickards, again, sat there, never said anything, had all bad things to say about Bitcoin, and not a peep, not a hey, let me talk, not a raise my hand, can I say something, when it came to Ripple. Not a word, not a peep. And if you guys know Jim Rickards, he's never short on words. Okay, so There's a reason why he didn't say anything about it. Trust me, there's a reason. And it's not because he doesn't know about it. Are you kidding me? It's not because he doesn't know about it. It's because they don't want to let the cat out of the bag about what's going on with XRP. In my humble opinion, that's the reason. They know what's going on. And I always tell people, on my videos, I say, if you and I, the average Joe and Jane, know about, just a retail speculative investor, know about Executive Order 13772. We know about ISO, 20022. If we know about it, are you telling me they don't know about it? Right? Of course they know. Of course they know. So I'm excited because when I see Steve Mnuchin out there, again, it's a talking head. It's a face. It's a way to let them prepare mainstream media. It's a way to utilize the mainstream media to prepare the masses for what's coming. To prepare the masses for what's coming. That's what it's about. And and of course the other thing is they're going to start talking about. I mean, the fact that he didn't talking about digital asset space, and the fact that he mentioned payments and reducing costs. I think that's a narrative that they're going to they're going to go down that path as well. But I think they're going to talk about debt. When you start hearing them talk about corporate debt and global debt, central bank debt, and start hinting at there's a way we can control this debt and get this debt down. Once you start hearing that, it's game on. It is 100% game on. Because if we know that XRP is a massive liquidity provider, so do they. So do they. And that's the thing you got to get. And so, again, I always believe that somewhere along the line, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, they said, this is the marching order. This is how we're going to do this. You got to check this box out. You got to change that symbol. You got to start disassociating Ripple, the company, with XRP, the digital asset. This is what you got to do here. This is what you got to do here. And you got to never forget, guys, that Ripple, the company, was the first, from what I understand, the first company to get a bit license in the digital asset space. First, number uno. Well, the first to do that. So, they've been towing the line. They've been, taking all the necessary steps to get this big blanket of approval. And you got to recognize that there's a reason why Brad Garlinghouse was with the IMF there. I heard one guy in the comments was saying there were other people there. There were no other people from the digital asset space there. None. And if they were, there was only one who presented. And that's for a reason. And I always say, listen, the people from EOS, Dan Larimer's a smart guy. The people from Cardano are the smart guys. If they had a purpose, if they had some value that they could add to the global economic crisis that revolves around the central banking system, they would have been there. They would have been there. It's the bottom line. Because they know, trust me when I say they know who Charles Hoskinson is and what they're doing at Cardano. They know. They know. But they didn't invite them in. He wasn't hanging out with Christine Lagarde. And there's a reason for that. Once they found out, again, because I humbly believe that XRP was not created initially for what is being used today for. It, clearly says peer-to-peer, P2P, peer-to-peer, P2P, peer-to-peer. Clearly says that, Arthur Brittle, from the beginning. And they went a different route perhaps they took a route to survive as a company, right? To survive as a company. Great idea, yeah, okay, great idea, the next evolution of Bitcoin. So the next evolution of Bitcoin, it didn't just jump to working with the banks. That would not make sense. So the next evolution of Bitcoin was better technology peer-to-peer. And then they pivoted, in my humble opinion. For whatever the reason might be, they pivoted. Bob Wade tells a story about how they were always worried about, the powers that be coming and breaking down the doors and shutting them down. Right? Right? So somewhere along the lines, there was a conversation had, right? There was a meeting held. And, they kind of laid things out. And don't forget, David Schwartz's background was CIA. Don't forget that. Right? Don't forget that. And so whatever that pivot was, and whatever they decided to do, and when they decided to do it, they did it. And I can guarantee you, one of the reasons why we as retail investors are able to hold some XRP is because they say, yeah, how many tens of billion of this XRP you guys got? Yeah, as a company, you can't be holding on to that, right? It's zero chance of that. Not all of it, some of it, but not all of it. You gotta get this thing out to the public. Just, you know what I mean? Promise you. You gotta get this thing out to the public. And they did. They've taken every step. Number one, they want to be a successful company, right? I mean, it's a company. It's a real thing with employees, right? And investors. They want to be a successful company. And they, just like any company that gets started, you may have a plan, but the plan that you set out is not going to be the plan that gets you to where you want to go, right? It's always you're always adjusting, right? You plan, you do, and then you review. Always. That's how it goes, right? So that's what happened. In our humble opinion. And so don't sleep on Steve Mnuchin being out on the mainstream media. Don't sleep on that. It's important. It's a rollout. It's letting us know what's coming. It's letting us know. And then for me, we're so close. It's unbelievable. And what's going on with SBI, guys? Anybody know? Please comment in the comments if you know. I have not heard a thing. I tell you, the one time I get a little like, oh no, is when I see in the comments or in the Telegram group, yeah, they're not going to be launching until 2020, man. I'm like, what? That's the one time I'm like, oh, no. Because we all know that Mr. Cattell is the one. As we like to say. That dude is the truth, right? And so we want that SBI thing to be launched, man, like sooner, like yesterday. So I'm hoping it's not going to be 2020. Oh, that would be brutal. And I know that Crypto Eddie is going to definitely let us know when it does happen. She is awesome. Yeah, so I know she's going to let that, she'll let us know when that happens. But I hope it's not 2020. But guys, look, exciting times. The fact that they're now, instead of doing things behind the curtain, right, they're out in front now, letting us know, the conversations that they're having, right? When they mention things like, we like payment systems that reduce costs, that means, but behind closed doors, that's what they've been talking about. That's what they've been looking into. And when they know, and trust me, when they know that the central banks, like a bank, UBS, I want to say USB for some reason, but I believe it's UBS. When the CEO says, we took our costs using XRP from $25 to under $1, that's massive. And when he said it, again, if we know about that, they know about that. And you got to get that right? They know about the global economic crisis. They know about the lack of liquidity. They know about this. I mean, Brad Garlinghouse has said, hey, 11 trillion in notional reversal. 11 trillion. You don't think that all them economic people and all them, companies that they can hire to look into things know about what can be used once that 11 trillion is freed up? You don't think they've looked into that? As we like to say when we're training in our business, imagine the possibilities. You don't think they thought about, what can be done with freeing up $11 trillion? And then, right, the notional reversals? I mean, look, it's already been decided. It's already been, the XRP is the chosen one. You just got to play your role in this game, and that is, quite humbly, accumulate and hodl, right? Accumulate and hodl, and you're in a good spot, right? So, I know I was ready to pull a plug and get some more XRP yesterday, and I did not do it, but God, I tell you, excited about what's going on. Really, really excited. Bitcoin's under 10,000 now. One time, right? Under 10 grand. I don't know what I didn't check this morning, but yesterday I know it was like 9,600 for Bitcoin. So it's like, for me, it's exciting times. Exciting times. So I always think, man, $50 here, $100 here, it's going to pay off in the long run, big time. Especially if you're an XRP holder, guys. So just think about that. I hope you guys are keeping your XRP radar up, keeping those antennas up for the person who's going to begin mentioning the company, Ripple, from the White House. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And I think it's going to be Donald Trump. Quite honestly, I think it's going to be President Trump who's going to mention it. And mention, Ripple, that company Ripple, and I could just hear the dude saying it. But listen for it, because when that happens, it's over. When they start talking about that, it's over. It's over. And then mainstream media is just gonna, like, what? And then they're gonna start running in, and because they know when they don't have anything good to say about Bitcoin, and then all of a sudden there's this digital asset space, or there's this company in this digital asset space that starts getting talked about positively, mainstream media is going to be all over that. And when that happens, it's all over. So I don't know what's up with SBI VC trade. Hopefully this month. And like Crypto Eddie says, that doesn't mean an immediate bump in price, some kind of massive thing. But I do think that it certainly is going to help begin with the rise of the price. I think the MoneyGram thing is really going to be the thing that's going to, because that's an initial, a bunch of people using it, right? There's nothing stopping them from getting started. They already said they're going to be using XRP. They already got all these POSs, if you will, already up. So it's just a matter of turning that little switch. If you're talking about turning on a switch, it would be with MoneyGram. Because they already got, it's not like, you know what I mean? They already have it in place. So it's just, I'm not sure why it's not live yet, honestly. But I believe that's going to be the thing that really will bump the price up. I hope by the end of this year, we're at a price that will make a lot of people happy. And I really think, I don't think $50 is necessary to make a lot of people happy. I think a $10 XRP will make a lot of people happy. I really do. I think that'll make a lot of people happy. I really do. I really, really do. I think that's going to make a lot of people happy. But we shall see. End of the year, we shall see. And if the Shane Ellis theory ends up being correct and coming to fruition, that is going to be sweet. I can't wait to see how that's going to play out, because we got the different theories. Yo-yo and the Shane Ellis theory are very, very similar. So we can't wait for that to play out and see how that's going to work. But I think there's some things going on behind the scenes that we don't quite not understand, but we don't quite know yet that's going on. And so something's got to give. And one is either going to be a gradual, traditional growth in the market with the XRP price, or or there's going to be some immediate bump, price set, whatever. It's one of those is going to happen. In either case, it's great for us, because listen, this bull run that's going to happen here in the fall, starting in the fall, that's going to happen, is going to be bigger than last one for the major ones. I just think it's going to be bigger for the major ones. I don't think that it's going to be bigger for the smaller ones. I just don't. I don't think it's going to be the same. So I think, I've heard anywhere between 3 times bigger to 7 times bigger for Bitcoin, for Ethereum, for XRP, for Litecoin, like the top 5. Whether I don't know if Cardano or EOS is in that top 5 or not. But for like to the top 5, I don't see those big gains for the smaller cap stuff, because it's gonna be a weeding out. When the institutional money starts getting in, and they pay people to do due diligence on stuff. They got to have a real working product with a use case behind it. Great ideas, that's cool. But in my opinion, it's gonna have to show some real use case behind them in order to get these one TD Ameritrade and back, then they start trying to put stuff out to their clients. Their clients are gonna want to like a prospectus. Like, okay, so what is this company doing, and why am I putting my money in there, and why are you recommending them? And I'm telling you in the beginning, the recommendations are going to be in the top 5, maybe top 10, because it's easier to say, it's easier to prove that case. And trust me, they got to make sure their clients are happy and make sure they're making money, not losing money. So a lot of those guys are just aren't going to be able to make it. And then there are hidden gems that are not in the top 10. I believe VChain is a hidden gem. I do believe it's in its own space. It's not competing with Bitcoin. It's not competing with XRP. It's not competing with Ethereum. It's not competing with Litecoin. It's on its own road, doing its own thing in its own lane, and it has a use case. So I think that's a sleeper. But listen, I'm not giving any kind of financial advice. Obviously, I'm not a financial planner. You got to do your own homework, certainly do your own diligence. But I think VChain is a sleeper, for sure, guys. But anyway, guys, listen, I'm gonna hop off here. Again, pay attention to pay attention to the rollout. When you, who knows? Who do you think? Let me ask you this in the comments. Who do you think is going to be the one from the White House that is going to mention the company Ripple and doing it in a regulatory way, right? Regulatory compliant. Who's going to be the one? Is it going to be President Donald Trump? Is it going to be a White House, let's say, just from whatever. It might be a Congress person. I don't know. It just might be a Congress person. You never know. But it's, who do you think it's going to be? Me personally, I think it's going to be President Donald Trump, and I think he's going to bring up that executive order. Like, because he wants to be the one who's going to save the world. I believe that 100%. But guys, I'm going to hop off here. Listen, guys, never ever forget this. Old money, they don't want you to win. They don't want us to win. They would rather us remain a cog in their perpetual wheel of trading our time for money. They don't want us to play in the same playground that they play in, where we allow our money to work for us. This is our chance to win, guys. We are in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man. Are you participating? Or are you standing on the sidelines? Here's what I do know. The battle for you has already been fought. And the victory is yours. Go get it. I'll talk to you soon, guys. See ya. Bye.